Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Once again, how you guys all doing tonight? It's double review night. This is the Club of the Man 1993, and we're here again this Thursday night for another review and a very rare NXT review. That's right. I saw the card for this week's NXT Roadblock 2000. You want to say 15 or 16? I want to say, sorry, 2025 it is. I don't like to say 15 or 16. I guess that's how I remember watching Roadblock was 2016. Well, 2016 had like that network special that was kind of like a network special right before WrestleMania, the one with Triple H and Dean Ambrose, which was a very underrated match. And then, of course, there was Roadblock End of the Line at the end of the year, right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that I wasted $100 going to and leaving my friend's Christmas party early. Still bitter about that. But I saw the lineup for this card for NXT because, again, I don't watch NXT regularly. I can't keep up with it. As I mentioned before, I don't have time to watch a ton of wrestling shows a week anymore. But, and also too, Tuesday nights are my nights out. But I'm not going to lie, I have been like reading the results, catching some highlights more, because NXT has picked up the steam. And honestly, this has definitely been one of the best episodes or slash like pay-per-views. Well, this wasn't a pay-per-view, but I'm treating this like a pay-per-view review. This is one of the best episodes I've seen of NXT probably since the Black and Gold era ended. Just saying. It was that awesome of an episode. This TNA partnership obviously showing other stars, even though it probably also is just a kind of a way to get these TNA stars to think, hey, I kind of have a good thing with WWE going. Maybe I can go there right after I'm done here. But we got the Hardy Boys on here. We got a title for title match that main evented the show between two women that I am definitely very excited to see on the main roster someday, especially the person who won it. We also got like an upstart in Javon Evans as well. Again, I spotlight on the show. I mentioned the Hardy Boys. I don't know if this was Roxanne Perez's swan song, but, you know, it could be one of her last matches before she goes to the main roster. Good to see Jordynne Grace in the ring again, too. It was a really good show. I do wonder, though, what their plan is, though, for Stand and Deliver, because this felt like this could have been the Stand and Deliver show. The fact that they're using it just for Roadblock, it's like, are you setting the bar a little bit too high for Stand and Deliver? Especially since it looks like that Giulia is not going to be there. We'll talk about her after we talk about the main event. Because other than that, it's like, are we going to be getting just rematches? Like, I thought the only title for title match was the women's match, which was main event of the show. I, for some reason, thought that the other title matches were NXT title versus TNA title. Like, I thought it was going to be the winner got both titles. But, of course, that wasn't the case. But still awesome wrestling all around. Awesome storytelling. Let's just talk about the state of NXT for a moment here. So, I think what's helping NXT be better than what it has been since the Black and Gold era ended is that they are bringing in other talent outside the company. People that weren't WWE built. Like, on this card, the only person, well, the one who's kind of like still like getting things figured out is Javon Evans. Like, there is Femi, who is basically WWE built, but he is like established. Javon Evans is still, you know, he's still new, but he is awesome. He is definitely someone I think in the next couple of years will be on the main roster, will be a champion in NXT before he goes up to the main roster. And then we got people like, Roxanne Perez was pretty much built as well from WWE. But she's, of course, established almost on her way to the main roster. Jordynne Grace, TNA. Moose, TNA. Hardy Boyz, can't go wrong with them. Nathan Frazier and Axiom, I know, I think I've wrestled elsewhere beforehand. I know Nathan Frazier, of course, did go to Seth Rollins' school, which I learned that when he was briefly in NXT UK, which immediately made me a fan of Nathan Frazier's. I really like Fraxiom. Like, they're definitely single stars, but if this is a way to get them to highlight them this run they've had with the NXT tag titles, then I'm all for it. And their match, of course, was freaking awesome with the Hardy Boyz. We'll talk about them in a second as well. But, like, you have, like, those people who are green and learning, like, making NXT purely developmental again. But you do have some of those stars that are experienced elsewhere that's going to help those talents. Now, is it kind of a little bit of, like, overshadowing them talents? Maybe. But, again, NXT has a live TV deal. They're not just a hidden show on Peacock like it was years ago when they were on this WWE network for just 1 hour. No. So, like, because like when Vince McMahon took over and he made more of a show that, like, you know, he wants to make sure there are talent that in his eyes are going to be successful. Only people that he, of course, would want on the main roster, obviously. And with having all green talent, that's what hurt the show. Like having, like, you know, some new talent, but also you have shows like Evolve, which I think because Evolve is now taking place on Tubi on Wednesday nights, I think they did cancel NXT Level Up, which was the show that replaced 205 Live, which is fine with me. But if you want like something like that for the talents that are still green and learning, fine. People, of course, who are, you know, are definitely, you know, on their way up, are getting more TV time. Here and there, you could give like a newer rookie some time on TV just to, you know, have them get their feet wet a little bit. But like if you want like prominent roles like this, you're gonna have to earn it. So again, like, it's doing things right. Again, this my problem though coming out of this show is this felt like a high peak. Like, again, like you have Stand and Deliver, which is basically being treated as NXT's WrestleMania. How are you going to outdo that with a show like this? Again, this card felt like a Stand and Deliver card. Awesome, but it's just like, how are you going to top that off? And to be honest, although again, we'll talk about her when we get to the main event, I did also think it was a little bit too soon to do Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer. Because I feel like that should have been like Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes. You kept them apart for a while and let them have their runs as like NXT champion and North American champion, and then eventually bring them together after like a year or so. These two like are already like they both just got their titles and they already went at it. Although again, there is reasons why that happened, but if it wasn't for that, I would have kept them away from each other for a while. But still, not gonna take away that it was a great match. What also, of course, hurts like shows like this, I feel like the pay-per-view worthy, in fact, is commercials, of course, but it's live TV. There's nothing you can do about it. But we are going to talk about, like I said, this is a rare review. No, this didn't make me want to watch NXT all the time. I said I don't have time to watch NXT religiously like I used to. But again, I'll check out the highlights. If something like this interests me, I'll DVR it and watch it when I get home. So, let's talk about this show, though. The show opened up with a very, very hot tag match. And the only titles that were on the line were the TNA tag team titles. It was, which of course also did mention the show took place in Madison Square Garden as well. Hot crowd, amazing. The first opening match was Fraxiom, which is Nathan Frazier and Axiom, taking on the TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Hardy Boyz, Matt and Jeff Hardy. Good to see them again. I haven't seen them wrestle since they were, whenever they wrestled last together in AEW. But, man, I don't know if it was just, you know, Matt dyeing his hair a darker color or what. But, man, the Hardys look great. Like, they're both, like, either just hit 50 or approaching 50. They still look like, if they can stay in the shape like this, they are still going to have, like, there's no glass ceiling, I guess, if they wrestle like this, as how much longer that they can go on for. Honestly, though, like how they were booked in AEW, like, Matt started off strong. I still feel like, though, after he got that concussion and his feud with Sammy Guevara ended, he kind of wasn't the same after that. Like, yeah, he had some momentum going when he was Big Money Matt, but after that, it's like he was kind of reduced to nothing. And then Jeff came in, and I'm sorry, his run, though, in AEW was abysmal. And, of course, he had, like, his latest DUI that basically he was given his last chance or else he's basically done. But good to see both of them just doing excellent. And they had excellent off-the-wall, fast-paced chemistry with Fraxiom. Again, I've been a fan of both these men because Axiom was a kid in NXT UK. He was great there. Nathan Frazier, formerly Ben Carter, I was a fan of him instantly. As soon as they said he trained with Seth Rollins, and I saw his first match in UK, I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be big. Like, real talk, that's a dream match right there for me. Seth Rollins and Nathan Frazier. But, first off, besides that they have like a cool, like, Zoom-looking entrance, I think they had excellent chemistry with the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys would eventually win, and I guess they want a shot at the NXT tag titles, so, yeah, they could do it at Stand and Deliver if they wanted to. But, of course, again, the only thing I worry about Stand and Deliver is it's not going to be a bunch of rematches from here, though, right? It can't be that. They have to give us some new stuff on the table. But, hey, I'll see these guys go again. Again, do an Iron Man match if you want to between them. It was awesome. But yeah, great to see the Hardys. Again, they look excellent. And they retain their TNA World Tag Team Champions over Fraxiom. And we'll see where it goes from there. So that was our opening match there. We had a backstage segment with Mickie James and Jada Parker, where basically Mickie James just puts over Jada Parker about making it on her own and taking opportunities, makes zero apologies. She knows Jada belongs at the top, and Jada thanks her and says she's locked in. So maybe she will challenge for one of the titles in the Dual Champ at Stand and Deliver. Especially if Giulia may be out for a bit, that's a good opportunity there for Jada Parker for sure. She's definitely against someone else. Again, I've said for the past couple of NXT reviews I've done, and I have my eye on for sure too. Like I said, she reminds me a lot of Bianca Belair. I mean, yes, her in-ring ability, last I saw, could use a little bit more polishing, but she's got the character and the it factor for sure. So I look forward to seeing what Jada Parker does, and good seeing Mickie James put her over as well too. We also had a backstage with the Dawn family, whatever they're called, Tony D'Angelo's group. Channing Stax Lorenzo is apparently lamenting with the rest of the family that he claims he let his temper get to him that cost Tony D'Angelo the North American Championship recently, as Tony D'Angelo dropped the North American title to Shawn Spears. Which, congratulations to Shawn. We saw him later on in the show as well. Tony rolled up and says he's right. As underboss, he should do better. Stax said he went and got a trios match for the three of them next week. But Tony's upset he's not involved and his back is fine. But okay, he wants to do this. He'll sign off on it. So there's a trios tag match with, I guess, 3 members of the Dawn family against Shawn Spears and the Culling, I think is what their stable's called. I saw the Culling. Okay. Roxanne Perez had a match with Jordynne Grace. Great match. Definitely would give their NXT Battleground match a little bit more the rub. Because, of course, I think the only thing that really hurt this match for me, again, is the commercials. But still great. Both these women are awesome. Jordynne Grace technically really could be on the main roster. Like I said, I was predicting her as my second choice to win the Women's Royal Rumble. And she could have had an outstanding match with Rhea. Well, before I knew Rhea was going to drop the title. But, yeah, her and Roxanne had great chemistry, but obviously Jordan's probably going to be staying in NXT for a little bit just to get used to the WWE style, and she'll probably be up before next year, I feel like. Roxanne, though, again, she's definitely going to be called up full-time after WrestleMania at the latest. But Jordynne Grace did counter Pop Rocks and got to the Juggernaut Driver, or whatever she calls her finisher, and she gets the victory. Over Roxanne. Again, they're 1-1, maybe one more at Stand and Deliver. Like I said, I just don't want to see the Stand and Deliver card be full of nothing but rematches from this show right here. This was big. So before the NXT title match with Femi and the TNA X Factor champion Moose, which the only title was on the line was the NXT championship, Femi ran to the Undertaker backstage. And Taker basically put him over, saying he's been watching, he's impressed, doesn't need to tell him how important his match is tonight. He said, go defend your yard. He said, will do. And then we also had a promo from Trick Williams about how he's going to beat Eddie Thorpe in an NXT Underground match. I guess Tripp's going to whoop that Trick in NXT Underground. I think later Thorpe did have a promo at ringside where Trick Williams did get involved and they beat down each other, okay? Moose and Femi. So again, I don't know much about Moose, but him and Femi had an excellent Haas fight. There's sometimes like you see some guys wrestle like smaller men wrestle big men, and you feel like the big men like down themselves to like have a believable match with them. No, these two wrestled like big men. I still give Keith Lee and Dijak a couple of their matches, definitely some of my more favorite big man matches, but this one was up there pretty close. This was a great Haas fight, great power moves. Of course, some of them were moving like cruiserweights, and like what? Both men are like 6'5", 6'6", like 300 pounds, and they were just like ragdolling each other around like it was nothing. Some great spots in there as well that were just like insane maneuvers by both of these men, but eventually. There was a time where Femi turned Moose inside of the lariat and threw him over the ropes and to the floor, like a madman, and several others. But eventually, though, I think it was off of a flying maneuver. Oba had caught Moose and hit a power bomb to retain the NXT championship. But again, if it wasn't for the women being title for title, this could have been a main event match on a pay-per-view. This was awesome. Again, Femi is like the next true big man in WWE. Like you got Braun Breaker on the main roster right now, who is, a big beefy guy, yes, but he's also like full of speed and whatnot. If you want the next generation's Brock Lesnar, you found him with Femi. He is going to be huge on the main roster. Between him, Braun Breaker, Jacob Fatu, oh man, you got some really, really big names for the future of the company. Some really big main event matches for WrestleMania someday. Like I said, I would say by next year, Femi will be on the main roster. And heck, if Moose wants to come join the party and put on more matches like this, then feel free to do so, my friend. I would love to see him in WWE as well, too. This was a great match for sure. We also have some little Instagram reel of Zarya teaching Sol Ruca, preparing her to be a little more aggressive. Okay, then. We'll see where that goes, of course. I definitely also do. Zarya's new, so getting to know her. Sol Ruca, though, I've seen her wrestle. She's awesome. So, I guess it'll develop more of a character for her, but we'll see where it goes. We also have Fatal Influence demanding favors, such as Fallon Henley demanding a rematch for her Women's North American title to General Manager Ava Raine, when Ricky Saints rolled up. Which I was a little bummed they didn't get to see Ricky wrestle on this show, but so glad to see him. Glad to see he's doing well. I'm glad he's here in NXT for sure. Of course, there again, telling like others say that he doesn't belong here, but he tells Ava, he says, Ridge Holland said the same thing. He wants a match. So next week, Ricky Starks takes on Ridge Holland. Okay? Ethan Page, though, then rolls up and tells him NXT don't like outsiders. Even though he's an outsider, but then again, he's a heel and embracing it. But Ethan Page had a street fight with Javon Evans. another great match. Again, Ethan Page has definitely, found a groove in NXT, it seems like, after, he had a little bit going for a little bit in AEW, but then they kind of just ran out of things for him. He got thrown into a bunch of random stables. Remember the Firm? Who remembers the Firm? The stable that was kind of working for MJF, but at the same time wasn't. But I think he's a great heel also that's bringing the best out of Javon Evans. Like, Javon Evans, again, was like the newer guy on the show that got a nice spotlight. And he is amazing in the ring. His in-ring abilities reminds me a lot of Leo Rush. Except, of course, Javon Evans is a bigger guy. I know he's still famous for botching his maneuver into Randy Orton's RKO back last fall. But again, he's still new. This is NXT. But like I said, if they want to throw a guy like Javon Evans on the show to, get opportunities to get better, then, like I said, by all means do so. And again, I thought he looked excellent in this match with Ethan Page. So great counters. A diving ace crusher over the ropes through the table, which was like checked right in the middle of the table, not even like close to being off, which was awesome. And with a chair assisted springboard, Javon Evans beats Ethan Page. Cool. Good way to put him over. Sure, made him look great. Then afterwards, I guess there's this new Shield type stable they're having in NXT. Don't know who's in it. But they basically raided the ring and beat down on Javon Evans. Basically, that was it. We'll see where that goes, of course. And then try to do another Shield ripoff or Retribution ripoff. We'll see where it goes. Then we get the hype reel for Shawn Spears faction, which again is called The Culling. And basically just kind of celebrating Spears winning North American title and whatnot. And they're looking forward to that 6-man tag match with Tony D'Angelo's family next week. That's all. What we did have Eddie Thorpe talking trash about Trick Williams. So Trick Williams rushes through and they have a brawl set up for their NXT Underground match, I guess, next week. Okay. And then the main event. The title for title, NXT Women's Champion Giulia taking on NXT Women's North American Champion Stephanie Vaquer. I'm a huge fan of both of these women, especially Stephanie Vaquer. I've seen more of hers. Again, I became a fan of hers when she wrestled at Forbidden Door last year with Mercedes Moné. And the fact that WWE snatched her like that right after that match, I'm like, whoa. That was a surprise. Because with the way her style came across, I thought she was for sure going to go to AEW at some point. But nope, she's in NXT, which is fine by me. And like I said, despite the fact that I still feel like they should have kept these two separated from each other for a while, I'm not going to complain about this moment. It was an excellent match. Again, definitely two women that's are going to be on a whole other level when they get to the main roster. Maybe next year, who knows? But it probably will be close. They have the spot in the match also where Stephanie Vaquer does that did something like a triangle choke, but like constantly slammed Giulia's face into the mat. I thought, of course, the crowd reacted to it. I thought it was, crazy. A lot of great near falls. But eventually, even though she kicked out of one of Stephanie Vaquer's finisher, the SBB, she then in the second one, and Stephanie Vaquer does become the first women's dual champion since Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 35. Well deserved for sure. Again, Stephanie Vaquer is an awesome, awesome wrestler. Again, I'm still getting to know Giulia, but again, like, she gives me a lot of Asuka vibes with her hard-hitting style and Japanese style. Of course, there are the rumors that, they do tell Joshi-style wrestlers to chill it down a bit, but let them just do their thing, and they'll be awesome. Now, apparently, though, this match was originally supposed to happen at Stand and Deliver, from what I've heard. But I guess Giulia is dealing with a minor visa issue and apparently an undisclosed injury. So they won't be having the rematch at Stand and Deliver. either way, like I said, I still think they should have kept these two separated from each other for a little bit before they came together. Because again, this is probably the biggest match you can do in the women's division right now in NXT. That stacked women's division. But, you know, I'm not going to complain. It was still a great match. And hopefully Giulia does get back soon. But that's the only reason why they had her drop the title here, was because of this. But congrats to Stephanie Vaquer, who is a 2-belt champion. And again, NXT Roadblock 2020. I keep getting the year wrong. NXT Roadblock 2025 was, again, an outstanding show. I'd probably give it an A. I'll give it an A. It wasn't a classic show. No, like, match of the year contenders. Like I said, I think what they could have been, I'll say that, they could have been match of the year contenders. But I think the problem is, again, there was commercials on the show. Like, had not been commercials, you definitely would have seen me considering most of these matches for match of the year candidates. The tag title match to start the show, oh my goodness, yes. Oba, Femi, and Moose, yes. The non-title matches were even great too. And of course, even the women's main event was phenomenal too as well. Could have been another one. But like I said, commercials. But still a great show. Again, I'm not going to watch NXT religiously, but again, occasionally, a show like this warrants me to check it out and a review. So glad I got this in. Glad I got to, you know, talk about NXT a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to continue to keep up with the results. See what, you know, happens. And again, here and there, I'll pop back in and talk about NXT for a little bit. So, good work, Sean. Great show. We'll see what's next. So, guys, I gave NXT Roadblock 2025 an A. What are your guys' thoughts on NXT Roadblock 2025? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well, at Club of the Man 93. You can also follow me on TikTok and on Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'll check it out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your night, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself, and that is not just a pain, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!